my PA, my manager, my editor, my videoer, my photographer, and my chauffeur.
Wardrobe and makeup.
Pardon?
Wardrobe and makeup.
No, that's Sandra. I trust her more than I do you on that one. Right. And they're off, shouted the commentator. The horses bolted from the start. There were 40 horses battling to be the winner of the Grand National. The spectators, all in their posh suits and beautiful hats, looked on as the horses jumped over the first hurdle. Ah! The commentators shouted as 2 horses fell, throwing their jockeys to the ground, each rolling into the smallest ball they could. The remaining horses kept going up the racecourse, bumping into each other as they steered around the bend. Gasps of horror came from the crowd as another 3 horses fell, this time throwing one of the jockeys over the hedge at the side of the track. He rolled along the ground and stood up, sending the crowd into rapturous applause and cheers. "He's okay," the commentator said to his colleague. His colleague just nodded and kept watching the screen. "No, I don't believe it. 2 more down," he said, standing up from his chair, nearly pulling his headphones off his head. He sat back down, adjusting his microphone and trying to compose himself. The horses carried on thundering up the course, bumping into each other, jostling for pole position. Another jump. 3 more down, shouted the commentator, jumping from his chair again and knocking his microphone off his desk. "We have 2 horses pulling away from the pack," said the other commentator, trying to fill in while his colleague tried to find it under the desk. Unfortunately, in the commotion, he'd knocked over his chair, so when he sat down, he fell to the floor, his legs up in the air, flat on his back, his colleague trying to keep going with the race while fighting back laughter. "So it's Margaret and Roy Boy and Perfect Peter neck and neck as we come round the last jump." Suddenly the crowd fell silent and just stood still, like they'd seen a ghost. What the... The commentators looked at the screens and then at the racecourse. They blinked twice, they couldn't believe their eyes. As the horses were running up the racecourse, the grass was disappearing behind them. Not a blade was left in sight. No one could believe what they were seeing. All the spectators looked at each other in complete disbelief. What was happening? What was this? "Don't look behind you, riders, just keep going," shouted the steward over the tannoy. The jockeys all looked behind to see what was happening. They couldn't believe their eyes. No one had ever seen anything like it. The jockeys just kept going. It now wasn't about winning, it was just about not disappearing with the grass. The steward had opened one of the fences at the side of the course that led to the car park. No chance of the concrete disappearing, was there? All of the jockeys and horses were safely through and the steward closed the fence and looked at the jockeys. "I don't know." They all watched as the grass